Sycamore family. Today we're sitting down to reflect on some of the amazing things that have happened over the past year here at Sycamore. My name is Mike. I'm the director of worship here. With me is Donnie, our assistant pastor, Sean, our lead pastor, and Becky, our kids ministry director. We're really excited to be here, so let's dive in.
Oh man, one of the things I'm most excited about is the fact that over this past year, we had 10 baptisms and 45 new members. And what a year of the Lord's providence and growth. I was especially thankful for the fact that I got to baptize one of my daughter's really good friends, one of our neighbors. It was such a personal experience. That was really special for me.
I thought there must be some kind of personal connection because I was up on the stage and every once in a while I just try and snap a picture of what's going on. And I was like, oh wow, there's like all of these, middle school or high school girls are kind of like hugging each other after this goes on. They must really know each other.
Yeah,
it was a really cool moment.
It was. I really appreciated that.
Yeah, it was just nice that she had a community of people coming out to support her. And then afterwards we did the greeting, and so many people came up just to congratulate her and say hello to her and her dad. It was wonderful.
Yeah, it was nice. I mean, all the babies we baptized are, of course, special and wonderful as well, but it was always nice to get someone who's old enough to own that for themselves and they want to claim faith in Christ for their own. It was really special. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Definitely one of the highlights of the year was the Easter sunrise service, the first time we did that.
I think it kind of blew our expectations out of the water about who's going to show up to this thing. And then you and Mike were there, and it just felt like this is a really incredible way to serve Midlothian.
Yeah, it was an amazing experience to see. We get there in the dark, and all these deacons and other men are showing up, just loading up chairs. I don't even remember asking them to do that. I think they just did that on their own initiative. And then we kind of only advertised it outside the church, and then people just kept coming and kept showing up and kept coming. People would walk by, they would stop and come and partake in our worship service. And by the end of the service, I believe we had close to over 100, maybe 150 people were there by the end of the service, wow, hearing about the resurrection of Christ. What an amazing thing.
Yeah, it was really, really worth doing. I think it was about 150. And, I kind of gotta do that and then race back over here. But the number of people that picked up the pieces and made that happen, it was really awesome.
It was really special.
Yeah, and a lot of them weren't Sycamore people necessarily.
Most of them weren't Sycamore people.
There are people from the community of Midlothian who just heard about it and wanted to attend an Easter sunrise service.
Yeah. What was great, you could see little clusters of people who all knew each other. Like, oh, hey, how did you hear about this? Why are you here? Like, it was like just seeing these little sub-communities. Neighbors, and all of a sudden making connections, and it was great to kind of be part of that and just to see this. It's the beautiful vision of the church as being the thing that brings neighbors together, especially to hear the gospel.
Another really amazing part of Easter was the Maundy Thursday service. And something we did this year that added really neat element was over the whole service, it just got darker and bleaker and just more despairing. And we did that through actually turning off the lights in the building bit by bit. There was like a row of candles and they all got snuffed out bit by bit. And with each song and each reading, somebody left the stage until the stage was just empty.
Yeah. And I didn't really know about that vision you had for it happening during a song. Like with each verse of that song, a musician would leave. So I guess at the end, it was supposed to be you were the last one by yourself, right? And so it gets down to Allie, my daughter Shaylee, and you. And Allie starts getting overcome with the beauty of the song and the emotion of the moment, and she starts crying. And Shaylee gets to her cue where she's supposed to leave, so she just walks off stage. And I remember my wife and I were thinking, did our daughter just nope out because the emotions got too thick? Did she just abandon her post? What's going on? And then the song ended with this beautiful, like, Mike's all alone singing this soliloquy, and then he leaves, and the stage is just dark. And it's just this beautiful moment, like really the stark reality of Jesus was abandoned by all of his people as well. It was really powerful, really poignant. Well done, Mike. It was good.
That was a real privilege to put together, and it really led well into Good Friday, which is another brand new thing that we did. Holy Week was just filled with all kinds of new stuff for the first time, and it was this artful, it just picked up on that bleakness and despairing that Maundy Thursday ended with, and just sort of left us there hanging. There was no reprieve on Friday and Saturday from that, and it's just a beautiful service of poetry and music. And, at the end, we actually wrote down sins and took a hammer and took a nail, nailed them to the cross, reminding ourselves that our sins are nailed to the cross, and we bear them no more, as the hymn says. They're not ours. Jesus took them and vanquished them. And
So good.
Jesus took them and removed them from us. And so it's just that
Yeah,
really stark, powerful image of the gospel there. And then we ended up with this cross filled with these fluttering little pieces of paper at the end of that too. And Tim Yaw and Tony Silvestro were like, man, this is beautiful. And they were like, boy, it would look really cool if we just like burned it and they all just went up. And we're like, I don't think we could burn the cross.
It'd be a little awkward.
That's good. That's wisdom.
That's wisdom.
Yeah. I mean, I just recall, like, after the Good Friday service, so many people were still talking about it. Like,
Yes.
like the response that, because it was a new idea, it's like, what's the response going to be from the church? And it's easy to think, like, well, I don't know who's going to respond. But then when people came and they really experienced it, there was a great response from people. And then it kind of felt like, to me, in my vision of things, like, that felt like a catalyst for continuing those types of things. Like doing another Good Friday service, or doing more art exhibits, or having more artistic shows where people can have a more visceral or cathartic experience, like in the worship service.
Yeah, it was so good. I have to be candid, Mike. I had no idea what to expect, and I was a little scared. I was walking into this thing on Good Friday, and I was not prepared for the experience that you and your team put together for us. It was overwhelming. You know, we're really good at as Presbyterians, like very logical, very mental, very cerebral, but to bring in the holistic, whole body, visceral experience of this event you guys put together, this experience of the cross was a very worshipful lead-in for me personally getting ready for Easter. And so yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys put together this year.
Yeah, it's gonna be very much the same thing.
Great.
Nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that.
Let's just do it again.
That's right.
Another really great thing that we've seen this past year is the arts ministry, just the way that it has grown so much this past year.
Yeah, it's really true. It started out as this like tiny little dream, maybe even 10 years ago, of what if we did that? And it takes so many steps to open a door that is closed because, well, what in the world is an art ministry, and why would we do that? You know, what isn't music arts? We've got that covered, and you know, there's so much more because God is a creator, and He made us to also want to create. And God is a God that has made things beautiful and told us to take care of them. And so He's also a God that wants us and has made us to want things to be beautiful and want to take care of things. And that's really a big part of the arts ministry. And then when we think about you know, people outside of the church that have that creative brain, and frankly, as an artist, you feel weird. You feel like nobody gets you. Your brain does not think the same way as everybody else's. And to sort of find those people and say, we got some people that think just like that too. In fact, we have a community of people that like, come join us and let's create and let's be a little weird together and do just beautiful, amazing things. And in that sense, it's turned into something that's very, very outward focused. But yeah, the art ministry has really blossomed this past year with concerts and art galleries that are really, really heavily attended. About 50% of the artists in the last art exhibit were not from Sycamore, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, that's incredible.
That is,
Yeah.
very encouraging.
And we're looking at doing another one that would then kind of lean into that even more. Yeah. So it's an amazing team of people. They are dedicated. They just love what they do, and you know, we have more ideas than any of us could ever do if we had a full-time job. We all worked full-time on it.
That's great. That's great. I love how you kind of almost off the top of your head said, we'll kind of keep it weird. You know, like previous generations of Christians would not think it's weird at all to integrate arts with our faith. You know, so maybe that could be the art ministry's motto, is like, keep Sycamore weird.
Keep Sycamore, hashtag keep Sycamore
hashtag
weird.
keep Sycamore weird.
Yeah. I mean, I just think, so from a former church, I came from a church that had like a budding arts ministry, and it came out of this like Labrie tradition of thoughtful Christian people who are tackling intellectual issues, but also engaging in art as a way to demonstrate worship of God. And like some of those wonderful artists from history have been like Christian men and women who've painted for the sole purpose of like making something to God's glory. And now you're just bringing something that's been robust in the Christian tradition to Sycamore. and it's been incredible. And correct me if I'm wrong, but in the hallway for the kids ministry on the back, there are paintings that are hung up that are done by students. Is that from the arts ministry, like the Lenten painting and the angel?
Yeah, it's going to be a collection of I think 10 on art canvases. They're all various mediums, but each one is a different story of Jesus' life, from the promise of Jesus in Advent, through his birth and his leading up to the cross, and finally ending with his ascension back into heaven. And so the kids are creating these canvases. They're creating all the building blocks, and then the arts ministry team kind of puts it together as the final product. And eventually those two hallways will be, you just walk through and you see the whole life of Jesus.
Well, and I think it's so great because the kids are part of the arts ministry as well. It's very easy to be like, oh, look at this professional painting, or look at this, these people that have had lots of experience and possibly, like I say, possibly professional. But then you have Paul Mead and other things like that are able to put their artwork in there, some of the teens as well. But then for you come to Sunday school and it doesn't matter. Like, you are showing up at Sunday school, you're going to have the opportunity to participate in this beautiful canvas. And I love also how instead of it being one big project where you've done it all at once, it's going through time, like in real time almost, with the kids already have just done Lent. And they just did the Palms, correct?
Yeah.
So with Palm Sunday coming up, I know you have a really busy season coming up with all of this. But I love that the kids, as they walk by, they see themselves as creators, co-creators. And I think that just fosters such a beautiful opportunity for the kids to want to continue to create and to use that artwork for God's glory, to worship it. And it's something as fun, as exciting as using messy paint or things like that, that's still good and that's beautiful, and you can use that to glorify God. So I love that. It's super sweet.
Yeah.
We've had some really great fellowship events this past year. I mean, I feel like one that we've been doing for so long, even when I was a kid, was the Thanksgiving dinner. Every year we get such a phenomenal turnout. And I don't even remember when it started, but it's amazing how year after year we have so many people come to this Thanksgiving dinner.
I mean, yeah, just as I get the pleasure of being the MC for it. Like, the first year was kind of thrown at me because Marty was the MC for so long. The child was just like, "You're the MC." I was like, "Great." But then I say it in my head out loud and it sounds like, of course, I've been here for less than 2 years. But those type of fellowship events where people are getting together and sharing, I have never been at another church that does fellowship that intentionally like Sycamore. And especially like the time of sharing. I know Mary Turlington likes to get up there every year, and this year, unfortunately, she was just like, she had some health issues and couldn't be there, but she still sent an email ahead of time to get up there and talk.
Still made us all cry.
By
proxy.
Yeah, it was incredible. And then just the types of people who you would never expect to get up and talk in front of anybody, just get up and say something, even little kids. I remember the Ruwains, Phil's daughters. Just the oldest one got up there and said, "I love Sycamore and I have Jesus in my heart." And Phil, in tears, just like reiterated how excited and how happy he was that his daughters are at a place where they get to know Jesus. And I mean, through the children's ministry and the kids' ministry, they just get to know how much they love Jesus. And then, I didn't say this before, but just the other week she came up to me excitedly, said, I've accepted Jesus. Like, I've accepted Jesus into my heart, is what she said. And then she gave me a card and said, "This is my new birthday." Like, with the date that she had accepted Jesus. That feels weird to say as a Presbyterian. But just the excitement of a little kid saying, like, I believe on Jesus in faith. And to have that excitement is just incredible. So
It's so good. It's so good.
Absolutely.
I remember the first time we experienced the Sycamore Thanksgiving extravaganza. We were overwhelmed at just how friendly, and this church actually likes each other. Like, you could tell they really do. Like, they really get along, and everybody had something significant to say in Thanksgiving. It wasn't just trite little nothings. And we were overwhelmed as a family. Wow, this is such a safe, wonderful place. We can't believe we get to be part of this congregation. It was such a joy to see. So.
Well, and I've noticed over the years, we've had quite a significant amount of ESL students through Sandra, inviting them every year. And so a lot of these ESL students, they might not go to church on Sunday morning, but they consider Sycamore their church, their home. And so it's so sweet to see them feel welcome to be a part of our Thanksgiving dinner. And also to just feel included, to be part of the Sycamore family. Yeah.
You've only been here 2 years?
I know. I say that to myself. It's like
We have had to do a lot of stuff
there's
because
been
of you.
there's been a
It's
lot
only
of
been
stuff
2
in
years.
2 years. Yeah, and it's just like I feel like the fellowship events were one of the things that really acclimated Veronica and I to the community at Sycamore. We have fall bash, spring bash, the youth group kind of parties all the time, and so we're always hanging out. But then just Sycamore, like just to what Sean's saying, Sycamore has a deep love for their ministry staff, so much so they're always inviting us over. They're always wanting to be near us and serve us and take care of the people who serve here. Like, it feels like, I say 2 years, but it feels like a really natural fit. And a lot of young pastors get their first call and it's kind of a nightmare. And I'm just lucky to be in the number of people who will never experience that because Sycamore has been so wonderful. And these fellowship events have meant so much even to Veronica and I.
That's great. Well, speaking of your first call, we also got to ordain you this year.
Oh my gosh.
How was that going through ordination exams?
Ordination,
Just a breeze.
yeah, just a
breeze.
So I started the ordination process in the James River Presbytery, and every presbytery, how they ordain someone, they're all different. So it's not one size fits all at all. The James River put a lot of weight on synthesizing the church history in order to talk about why is it significant now? When did the PCA start? All of those types of things. I was overwhelmed with the ordination process at the beginning. But then everybody in the church, even on the staff and at the presbytery level, men just came alongside me to shepherd me through that process. And I remember being supported again and again and again. People were saying, "We didn't expect you to get ordained so quickly." And that's wonderful, yeah. It took from beginning to end about 7 months, and I was up till midnight, day after day after day studying. And I felt it was more than just me going to get some kind of ordination. I've always felt that call in my life. But when you're being ordained to be a pastor at a church, you're being ordained into a role to shepherd people. So this isn't for me. This is something that Jesus is calling me to so I can care for his people. And just living into that reality and having Sean walk with me through that process, it was deeply emotional and meaningful. And then the celebration after I got ordained,
so good.
It was just incredible that people were they were just genuinely excited to see someone achieve something. And it was a really tough process, but because of Sycamore and because of our presbytery, it was so supportive. I felt like I was going in the right direction. This is really where I'm called to. These are the people that I get to serve with and serve over. And clearly, the fit of Veronica and I here and being called for ordination, it's this is exactly where God wanted us to be. And I don't know, it's hard not to say thank you guys, because for months and months I kept telling you, I have my ordination exams, and you were like, if we can help with anything, please let us know.
Yep.
And you guys just supported me throughout the whole thing. It wouldn't have happened as quickly or as joyfully if it wasn't for the staff and you guys here.
That's great. Yeah, during that process, I remember I would get phone calls and emails from other people in Presbytery, that all the PCA churches in Central Virginia, basically, and it was guys who were familiar with your process, and they would tell me, "Hey, make sure Donnie is okay in this. Help him here, and it wasn't he needs to brush up. It was hey, you need to help him get over the finish line here. They were so many people wanting to encourage you. And then I remember your examination before presbytery, where there was one particular elder who's an attorney at a different church who's known for being a stickler. And he asked you a pretty hard question, and you just like nailed it. And he just stood back up and goes, "That was a very good answer." And me and Marty in the back were like, "Touchdown, can you believe he said that?" You did so well in your ordination exams.
It did, yeah. And then just like the joy of having the final ordination exam be here.
Here at Sycamore.
It was at Sycamore.
So cool.
Like I got the okay to go ahead and be ordained in this room with the men of our government, and that was all the more meaningful. And then, so this is maybe, when you're up there, like, so after you get okay to be ordained, the elders lay hands on you, and that is like, now you are an ordained pastor. You have to like kneel for like 15 minutes, and I'm a big guy,
It hurts.
and I just like kept getting lower to the ground. But these men were just like very intentional about keeping their hands on me as I basically like in a curled up ball on the floor after the end of the prayer. But just to know that these are the men who are there to like support me and care for the church. Like there was no shortage of people encouraging me, even like when it didn't benefit them at all. Like just people who said, "I want to be there for this because it matters," and that was wonderful.
Even the secret initiation right afterwards, where all the elders got to smack you with a paddle.
Yeah,
that was wonderful.
that was good.
Okay too.
Oh gosh.
Gosh,
That didn't happen.
did not happen.
Wink, wink.
And I mean, they're just a part of it. Like Sycamore's always cared about having a teaching elder for their youth.
Yes.
Like
it is important.
we want an ordained pastor to serve our children because we value them so deeply. Like we want them to have a shepherd to care for them, and that's always been a part of Sycamore's like understanding of things. We need a pastor for youth and young adults. But the cool thing about Sycamore, a lot of youth guys can be like sticklered into like, oh, he's like the kickball pizza guy. But at Sycamore, even though people call me their youth pastor, and that's wonderful, they also just really, really deeply respect the office. I feel like they give us a lot of respect, and
They do.
and it's like it makes it all the more easy just to come here and serve because it's like these people love me, I love them, and like we're all in it together in Midlothian. So,
Amen. Well said.
student ministry is like always kind of ebbs and flows. There are more students one year, less than the other. It just kind of happens like that. But even with staff transitions, there was a lot of consistency in the student ministry. Like for instance, we have these things every other Tuesday night called High School Fellowship, and those have been the most consistently well-attended events in the student ministry, and it just kind of showing us that teenagers need somewhere to be where people care about them, and that's been wonderful. And so we're using this momentum to try and do other things. It's really easy to think about missions as something you go and do outside, like outside of the country even. Like we have trips to Malaga, we have trips all over, but also we have people that we've partnered with for years and years and years, and we can step into serving them. So last summer, we did a week of local service at Elijah House called Servant Week, where we took a bunch of middle school and high schoolers and just cleaned up the campus of Elijah House Academy. And then when winter rolled around, because we still had so much momentum, we did a Lessons and Carols service over at the Atlantic so we can just serve someone who's literally in our backyard. And I think the most wonderful part of that, outside of like dressing like Santa and like, I was gonna say being sweaty the whole time, but that's a weird thing to say. I mean,
Not exactly.
Well, yeah. I think the most wonderful part of the Atlantic was after we were done singing, we just sat and talked with some of the residents. And it was kind of hard to peel the students away from those kind of conversations. And even now, students are asking, can we go back and serve at the Atlantic in some way? So there have been just really wonderful things happening in the past year just to demonstrate the students' resilience and just their desire to come and be a community together here.
It was really cool. I got to go to the Elijah House Serve Day, and it's like everywhere we went, whoever we talked to, oh, wow, that's so cool you're doing that. Thank you so much. It really made an impact. It reminded me that, it doesn't actually take that much to make an impact. Hey, let's just go clean the bathrooms and clean up the classrooms, and, that doesn't seem like that much, but it can be incredibly meaningful, incredibly impactful.
Yeah, I think it's just nice to know that they have a workforce coming in who's not going to be paid, who is just there to serve them. No one saw us except for the staff and some of the students who were there. And so we were just like serving in this kind of like gospel obscurity of just like cleaning toilets and classrooms and serving students. And it was all really, really wonderful. And even some people from Sycamore came and bought us lunch a few days that week. But the students were just reflecting on it as we like kind of closed out after. We're just saying it was really meaningful to serve there because it's something I've heard about all the time, but didn't really have a relationship with it. And now because of things like Servant Week, we're doing it again this summer. They're establishing a relationship with a local ministry that we've supported for years and years.
That's great. Such a good idea you had to do this Servant Week. I remember you talking about it, and I was thinking, that's so simple. Why haven't we done that before? You know, and I'm a father with 2 daughters in the student ministry, and it changed their life. They still talk about serving at the Elijah House over that summer, and then singing at the Atlantic. One of my daughters is thinking about perhaps she should somehow work with older people as a career because she was impacted so much by going to the Atlantic. It's just amazing, really well done.
Yeah, and the benefit of both of those things is that they're right at our front door, right? Or our back door, right? The Atlantic's right over there. Yeah. There is, in my head, there was like no reason to not have a really consistent relationship with these organizations that we either are within a stone's throw of or within 5 miles of. So.
Well, and I would imagine, especially with the Atlantic, you know, we have so many people at Sycamore that come from the Atlantic. And so for these teens to go over there, just have some conversations, be able to spend time with them. And then on Sunday morning, there's a familiar face and just the opportunity to potentially build relationships beyond even that week. Like, I think that's just such a beautiful, I just think that's such a beautiful, real way of showing the gospel in such a beautiful, simple way, but it's so meaningful to the people that are over at the Atlantic, and I think for the teens too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, Sean talks about the idea of being intergenerational, right? Like we're not just not just like different generations separated into different ministries. We're people who hang out with each other. And so then just like going over to the Atlantic and just seeing the excitement of the residents, there were probably like 60 of us in a very small, warm room talking to each other and singing carols and reading scripture, and just the excitement that they had that someone came over and wanted to do something just out of pure love and devotion and care for them, for the gospel. And just like one of the sweet things for me, it was some of the ladies who attend Sycamore also live at the Atlantic, and they introduced me to their friends and said, this is my pastor. Oh, and that's always great. Just, and Sean, you know, it's just like the sweetest thing in the world when someone says, this is my pastor. And just to hear that from people who I deeply respect and really look up to, just like mothers in the faith, that it kind of buoys you up a little bit when it's like this job is incredible. There's hardship, but it's also like the depth of joy in just being able to be with people. So
awesome.
I really love when ministries interact with each other, and one of my favorites with kids ministry is the tea that we've put on for the past few years. And last year we were able to have the kids ministry and the student ministry as well serve the VIP ladies in the spring. And it's just so sweet to just be able to see the kids have agency and a responsibility. And to take their roles, they're so cute, take their roles so seriously. Especially, you'll see, so in the beginning, as the ladies pull up to the church, we have the youth team, which is the primarily youth guys, but we'll have some girls in there as well. And they'll put on a car wash while these ladies are escorted by the elementary boys from all the way up the sidewalk into the gallery for the tea room. And the boys are dressed up, they have their little suits on, or very sort of button up, and they're holding, the purse or whatever, and they're actually walking these ladies up, and it's just so sweet to see these boys with this big smile on their face. It's just one of the sweetest things to see.
That's great. Again, another thing I was getting to learn about Sycamore was the first time you did this, and I thought it was so great how to have the youth served the ladies by cleaning their cars. And I think some of the ladies either didn't get the memo or didn't know. They were legitimately surprised when it was over and they came out and their car had been washed. And they're like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And I can't remember one of the little boys I was talking to, I can't remember who it was, but apparently you had given them like pointers on conversation topics. And so they were trying to have like a real conversation with these ladies as they're walking. And they were doing a great job carrying on conversation. Right. And I was very impressed. That is not a strength of mine. I was like, wow, can you teach me how to do that? It was really, really well done. Very, very good.
Very sweet.
How do I get my car washed through the kids ministry?
Talk to Donnie.
Do you want to donate?
Make it happen. I have some leaves that need raked as well.
I'm busy that day. Shout out to you, Becky, for kind of overseeing this summer's best 2 weeks at the General Assembly here at Sycamore. It was like hundreds of kids, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like General Assembly is when all of our churches come together for a church-wide meeting across like all of the presbyteries all over, and they bring their kids. And so they were transported from downtown Richmond to Midlothian to have an incredible camp that was put on by Summer's Best 2 weeks, but Becky was in charge of oversight of that.
It was, and Aprons and Mitts. I love that ministry. Those ladies, along with their husbands in tow, they provided lunch for everybody, for the kids, for all the volunteers. For anybody that was here at Sycamore that happened to be there at that time.
That's incredible.
It was amazing. And the quality food was great, you know. We had burgers one day. I think the other day was like a taco bar or something like that. So it was just to see the way that that Jimmy Brock, who kind of was the one that directed everything, the way that he just kind of had everything running so seamlessly. But I know that those ladies got such a kick out of being able to provide that much food and to have just that face-to-face time with these kids, whether they're missionary kids or pastors' kids. You know, all of them are not from the local area. And so I think for them to have this opportunity to catch up with friends that maybe they haven't seen in at least a year or whatever, but also to feel cared for and seen, you know, just at a church. I don't know. It was just a really sweet opportunity, and like I say, I am so grateful to Aprons and Mitts and the way that they've really been involved in almost every ministry. You know, whether it's helping out with the youth. I'm sure that they've done plenty of stuff for the youth
they're
as
just
well.
such a grassroots force of ladies who want to serve.
Yeah.
Right? They last year they made breakfast for the men's retreat. Like they have done just kind of like showing that there are people here who want to organically use their gifts to serve the kingdom, and they served basically all the families of the PCA in a big way, and then are very intentional about finding other ways to serve just the other ministries of the church, and they're actually proactive about it. They want to know who needs something, and they want to be able to kind of fill the gaps, and that's incredible.
Yeah. Well, as we've covered, the Lord has done so much at Sycamore over the last year. The budget is doing great, and numbers are really important. We're so grateful to see how the Lord has grown us in that area, and Denny is going to do a great job presenting that to us. But look at what the Lord has done, what you have done through the resources of your time, of your treasure, and of your talents to help take the gospel that we own and cherish so much to the Midlothian that we also cherish. We're proud to serve you guys as the staff of Sycamore. It is our privilege to be here on this journey with you.
I wanna go to church.